Hi everyone, Robin here, and I'm gonna do a little vlog life update, I guess you could say. Uh, a lot of stuff has been happening. Um, I haven't been making as many videos and all that kind of stuff because life has gotten really kind of hectic. Um, my work is busier. It's summertime. We've got summer camp, and it's like 3 weeks of just nonstop running with these kids. Um, but on top of that, have some other things going on. I think Jesse's probably the only person that knows pretty much everything that's been going on. And one of the things I actually haven't told her because I just found out yesterday about it. But so I mentioned in one of the videos that my father has cancer, and I'll go into his stuff first. He, routinely goes in to see his oncologist and everything like that. And about a month ago, his oncologist told him that his platelet counts were really messed up and they needed to figure out why. So this Thursday, I'm taking him to the hospital for a bone marrow biopsy. And one of the worst case scenario things is the type of cancer that he has can mutate and form a second type of cancer on top of the one he already has. And one of them is leukemia. So that's one of the things that they are going to be looking at. So that's the big thing with my dad. And because his platelet counts are so low and messed up, and combined with the heat and something else that I'm going to tell you in a minute, my dad's just been really weak and really tired, and not emotionally weak, but physically weak. He can only handle being up and about for so long before he has to go home and lay down. The second thing, if you're on my Facebook, you might have seen me mention on Father's Day that I went to visit my mom in the hospital with my dad. And she has been in the hospital for about 2 weeks now. They actually sent her to the hospital at the end of May because her doctor tested her and found out that she was anemic, and they were trying to find out how she developed anemia so quickly. And so she went to this one hospital close to the house, and they were testing her, and they told her that she had an intestinal infection, and she refused any further tests. She got mad at some doctor there and decided that they were all quacks, and checked herself out and went home. And so I don't know, about a week later, I guess, week and a half later, she started getting like cold-like symptoms. She was having problems breathing. She just felt really drained. When she first got out of the hospital after the anemia, they'd given her blood and all this stuff. She felt great. I feel better than I have in years. And then, suddenly she started getting sick. So my dad had told me, if she's not feeling better and getting out of the bed by, noon on Tuesday, I'm gonna take her to the hospital. Well, about 10:30, 11 o'clock, she got up to use the bathroom and collapsed on the floor. And my dad was able to get her up and, get her situated and back in the bed and everything. And then like a half hour later, she got up again, and collapsed again, hit her head on the windowsill going down, like hit right here. And my dad couldn't get her up off the floor. She was awake and conscious and everything, but my dad just is so weak, and she was so weak, she couldn't help her up. So my dad called the ambulance. She's cussing him out the whole time. My mom's one of these people that you have to like break her arm and then beat her upside the head with it to get her to go to the doctor. Well, to the hospital, not the doctor, but so the ambulance comes, they take her away. Like 3 hours later, my dad sends me a text message, "Oh, your mom's back in the hospital." They took her to a different hospital. She refused to go to the one that she was at before. And so they took her to a different hospital, and I left work early and went over to get Dad. And we went over to the hospital, and they told her she had pneumonia. So right away they found out she had pneumonia. And so she was being pumped full of antibiotics and everything else. So they check her into the hospital, and then a couple days later they say, "You have an intestinal infection." Well, duh, they told her that at the other hospital, but whatever. So they were trying to figure out why, what caused the intestinal infection. And at first they thought it was this thing called C. diff, which you can develop if you're getting a whole bunch of antibiotics. The antibiotics kill off the good bacteria in your colon, and then the bad stuff just takes over and wreaks havoc on your system. Well, they said no, that's not what it was. So this other gastrointestinal whatever comes in and says, "Well, I think you have celiac disease. Let's test you for celiac." And if you don't know what celiac is, it's the gluten intolerance. Well, I said, I doubt very seriously it's celiac, because one, my mom never eats bread. She hates bread. She doesn't really like crackers. She doesn't eat things that have gluten in them. She doesn't drink beer. She does, she's just not a gluten-y type of person. If she wants carbs, she wants a potato, So, they tested her for that, whatever. And when they were doing a CT scan on her lungs, I guess they did the whole torso, and they discovered something irregular in her stomach. So one of the days when I was going to the hospital, they were actually wheeling her out when I got there, of course, to drain her lungs and do a CT scan concentrated on her stomach area. So they did that, and they found 3 masses. They initially told us it was in her stomach, and some spots on her liver. And an oncologist came in to talk to her, and which, if you don't, oncologist is for cancer. And so she tells me what happens, but she says, "You can't tell your father." So I had to hold on to that for like 4 days until we got the results back. But they biopsied her liver because the spots were very suspicious, and the biopsy came back benign. Great, hallelujah. She doesn't have liver cancer. So they said, well, those pockets of infection must be the same thing that's causing whatever these masses are in your stomach. So last Wednesday, they took her in and operated on her later in the afternoon, and to remove the masses. And the surgeon called my dad. My dad wasn't there because him being a cancer patient and his platelet counts being all wanky, he can't be around that kind of stuff. And I didn't know when she was going to surgery, and they had me out running around doing stuff at work all day, and So, Dad talked to the surgeon. Oh, and plus we didn't know about it until Wednesday at like 11 o'clock. They said, oh, we're going to take you in for surgery today. The surgeon called my dad. They removed a mass from her stomach, from her small intestine, and her liver. And they were going to biopsy all of them because that's standard procedure. And they also found a tear in her small intestine. So that is what they think caused the anemia. That's where the blood loss was coming from, was this tear. So they repaired all that stuff, yay. And yesterday, my mom found out that she does in fact have cancer. The tumor in the liver was benign, but the one in her stomach was malignant, and they're waiting for final pathology on the one from the intestine. But the cancer that she has is called GIST. It's gastrointestinal stromal tumors, and it's one of the least known about cancers because it's so hard to detect, and they don't know what causes it. They don't think it's genetic. They don't think it's a parasite or bacteria or exposure to anything necessarily. And these tumors, these stromal tumors, can be benign or malignant, but apparently they can turn from being benign into malignant if left alone for too long. And the surgeon did tell my mom that she had probably been suffering with these things for quite a while, especially if it got to the point where it caused a tear in her intestine. So, good news about it, though, is it's also one of the most treatable forms of cancer, and it's not usually something that takes chemotherapy in the traditional sense. It's all pill form. So, basically, both my parents have cancer. And the form that my mom has isn't one that will affect my father. Apparently, some forms of cancer can make his worse, but this is not one of them. The oncologist said, told him, it's not anything to worry about for you, and your cancer. But the prognosis is good. They think that they were able to get all of the cells out, all the tumors out. She's healing up from the surgery. She didn't have any morphine yesterday or today, so she's doing better pain-wise. Her incisions are healing up the way that they're supposed to. They're already doing the occupational and physical therapy with her, getting her up out of the bed and over into the chair and, walking around a little bit. She's still primarily on an IV diet, intravenous diet, but she is getting some clear liquids. She's allowed some clear liquids like popsicles and Jello and all that exciting shit. But she's feeling a lot better, and she's been acting more like herself. Like when we were there on Sunday, she was acting more like herself than I had seen her in a long time. Probably close to a year. And then today, even more so, like her voice is getting stronger every day, and she's feeling better every day. And she saw the infectious disease doctor who said that the pneumonia is clearing up wonderfully. You know, they're they're not going to have to drain her lungs again. The antibiotics are doing what they're supposed to do, and get rid of that. She saw the gastrointestinal person again, and I asked her if they came back with the results from the celiacs, and she said, well, no. I said, well, you think maybe you could ask them? Um, and she saw the surgeon today. So, some people are like, well, why aren't you going to visit your mom every single day? My mom hates for people to see her in the hospital. She, you know, her hair hasn't been washed in over a week. She feels like crap. She's laying in a hospital gown with, you know, no underwear on. She's just like, ugh, get me out of here. But the oncologist also told my dad that she'll have to go to a rehab hospital between where she is now and going home. And he figures she'll probably need to be in there for about a week. But we don't know when she's getting out. He told Dad that she would be in there for quite a while. So I don't know if that means 2 weeks, 2 months. I'm assuming she'll be out by the end of the month and into rehab by then. The rehab probably just depends on how well she responds to the therapy. She's pretty determined when it comes to that kind of stuff, so I don't think she'll be in there longer than a week unless some freak accident happens, which hopefully it doesn't. But she's taken it all in stride, and I asked her, you know, does your stomach feel better? And she said, well, it just feels different. And she didn't think anything about it because she had been diagnosed with irritable bowel syndrome like 6 years ago. So she just thought that's what it was. I constantly have indigestion and da 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 da. But no. So if you're interested in the stuff about the GIST, GIST is gastrointestinal stromal tumors. I'll link it down below from the American Cancer Society. It's a good website, and it explains it a lot better than I can if you want details about it. But like I said, this is something that goes largely undetected, and if you have a lot of indigestion or, you know, tummy troubles, that type of stuff, or if you've been diagnosed with IBS or Crohn's or any of those, you know, I would be cautious about this form of cancer. It's like it sneaks up and screams happy birthday inside your stomach and leaves you a present of a tumor. But yeah, so just to be more informed about it, I'll leave the info down below. So that's why I, you know, might not seem as perky or happy in some of my videos because I've just got a lot going on. Alright, sorry this went so long, but thank you for watching if you made it to the end, and I hope you have a nice rest of the week. Thanks. Bye.